What's going on, gamers? Welcome back to Telesplash Gaming. I'm Chris, and what is on the docket today? We're going to talk about controllers, and not just controllers that you get standard edition if you bought a PlayStation or a Nintendo or a Sega console, but those controllers that are weird, that are odd, circus tent level stuff here, folks. I love the unique stuff. I've got a couple myself, and I want to talk about those as well as a handful of other controllers that are some of the weirdest you've ever seen throughout gaming history. Stick around, let's talk about it. Alright, let's get this started with an easy one that I bought last year, did a whole video on, and that's the Resident Evil 4 chainsaw controller. Now this controller might be one of the most popular ones and most well known on the list, but that doesn't mean it's not odd and weird. We're talking a controller in the shape of a chainsaw with unique blood splatter, chainsaw noises, vibration. It is the epitome of what Resident Evil 4 is all about. Now this controller, as cool as it might be, really isn't the most ergonomic. This thing will cause a little carpal tunnel, cramping, your wrists will be sore the next morning, but you look cool playing Resident Evil on the chainsaw controller. I picked this up last year as something that I've always had on my gaming bucket list. Didn't get a good deal on it, but it's one of the few things I bought where I didn't care. I was just happy to finally have a copy of this controller in my game room. Now I have the PlayStation 2 variant, there's also a GameCube variant as you can see, and they're a little bit different, but at the end of the day, they're both really cool, really unique, and really gory controllers. Next up is the NES HandsFree Controller. I love that Nintendo made this controller. It is made for people that don't have use of their arms or their legs. It's for quadriplegics who might be bound to a wheelchair who want to play video games. How cool is that? By using your mouth, you control everything. You can use your mouth or tongue for the D-pad, and then using your breath, either sucking in or blowing out, is the A or B. It sounds pretty hard to use if you're used to using your hands, but I knew a guy who actually used this. We played Mario together while he was in a wheelchair. He was using his mouth to control Mario. I was player 2, so we took turns. It was amazing, and even my 9-year-old self was amazed at how capable he was at playing video games, and I always loved Nintendo for doing that. So the NES HandsFree Controller is one of the oddest, weirdest, but one of the coolest controllers I've ever seen. Next up is the WuTang Controller. Yeah, WuTang, the band that was pretty popular for a while, and well, they obviously are popular enough to get a video game, Shaolin Monks named after them, and not only did they get a game, they got a W-shaped controller for the PlayStation 1. Now this wasn't really known for its ergonomic design, and the game wasn't really known for anything other than being like a Mortal Kombat knockoff. But what really makes this unique is that it looks more like a batarang. I think people would rather throw this across the room and see if they can etch it into their wall than actually use it as a controller. But collectors out there, this is a cool thing to have, and again, a very unique and odd controller that is just part of gaming history. How can I make a list without putting the NES Power Glove? I know it's probably known by everybody in gaming, but it's unique. It's one of the weirdest things. Whoever thought of putting a glove on, mapping a bunch of buttons, and then using it, and then the commercial. Yeah, the hour-and-a-half commercial called The Wizard starring Fred Savage. It was basically a commercial for the Power Glove, a commercial for Nintendo, and a commercial for Super Mario Bros. 3. And you know what? It worked. I wanted the Power Glove more than anything. I wanted Super Mario Bros. 3. That movie was one of the greatest movies of all time. No, it's actually not. But I'll tell you what, when you were a kid and you watched this, it was cool. And we know the Power Glove is garbage. We know that thing is trash. But my goodness, if they did not sell you on that, I don't know. I still want it though. I still don't have it. I'm still gonna get it. Next up is the Agtech Bass Landing Fishing Rod for the PS1. Now, for hardcore anglers out there, there's no replication of hooking a fish while drowning yourself in bush slide at your local watering hole. But you know what? If you can't make it to the lake, I got a solution for you. You pull this bad boy out, you hook into your PlayStation 1, and you fish away. If you're stuck at home, this might be the best option for you. I found this in a pickup lot, haven't played with it yet, but I'll tell you what, I might be better off actually unwrapping this 30-foot of cord and using it as an actual fishing rod itself. There is a ton of cord attached to this. I don't know how well it works. I don't think it has motion controls, but I'll tell you what, it's pretty cool. And maybe it does have motion controls, but it's definitely one of the weirdest and most unique controllers I've ever seen. I think they had a couple versions. PS2 had one, Dreamcast had one, but I'm fortunate enough to hold on to the old PS1. Next up is a controller that I want. I don't want to use it, I just want to have it sit on the shelf because it's so awesome. It's Katana, the Soul controller for Onimusha 3. It was made by Hori and Capcom. It's the PlayStation 2 Katana control scheme. It comes with a sheath, it comes with a stand. It's really one of those that it's usable. Can you make use of it and play the game? Yes, but come on, you're not going to want to use a katana to play a game. You're way better off just using a standard controller. But in terms of oddities and uniqueness, this is one of the coolest controllers I've ever seen. And I want it. I want it real bad like. Okay, I can't beat this dead horse too much because I've talked about Steel Battalion so much over the course of the last couple years, but it is one of the most unique and ridiculous control setups in the history of gaming. I mean, you have a full pedal and 40 control button console sitting in front of your console. I have it complete in box, as you guys know. It's unique. It takes you longer to take it out of the box and put it back in using the most amazing Jenga and Tetris skills that you're going to spend more time doing that than probably playing the game itself. But it is cool, it's unique, it's very rare, and it's definitely one that most gamers have definitely heard of, but probably not seen in person. Next up is the PS1 and PS2 Slime Controller, inspired by one of the biggest mascots in the Dragon Warrior franchise. I know it's Dragon Quest, but I call it Dragon Warrior because I had it for the NES and that's what it was called. These little annoying slimes in the game were not real big threats, but they are literally one of the biggest mascots for this franchise. And this little controller is cool. Tom and Lacey at Do You Nerd did a complete unboxing and review of it, and like you'd expect, it is a fairly large, fairly unique, and not really the most amazing controller to actually game with, but it looks cool. I love the design of it, the silver, the blue, depending on which version you get, and it's just one of those that would look really, really cool on the shelf, and I would at least attempt a few games with it. It has a little pointy bottom, so you can't like sit on your lap, you're gonna poke yourself right in the thigh or somewhere, but it's cool. I would like to see this in person. I haven't had a chance to actually play on it, but this is one of those really unique, really odd controllers that I think has that kind of cutesy appeal to it to many gamers. Alright, ladies and gents, there you go, a handful of the most unique and odd controllers in gaming history. Let me know in the comments below if you've played on these or you own them and they're hanging out in your game room. I know there's a lot of other ones, the DK bongos, the maracas, there was a ton I could have included, so let me know which one you would have liked to have seen on here. Thanks so much for tuning in, subscribing to the channel, and leaving a comment. As always, keep trolling, keep rolling. We'll see you next week.